One.
Good. Well, welcome to the January 2022 meeting of the Academic Affairs and Research Committee of the University of Rhode Island's Board of Trustees. The committee is holding a hybrid meeting this afternoon in accordance with Governor McKee's Executive Order 22-01. Some of our members are in attendance on campus. Some are with us virtually, including myself. Public access to the meeting is available via the YouTube video platform. At this time, I need to call roll to determine whether there's a quorum sufficient to do business. So please clearly respond present when your name is called. Neil Kerwin, present. Karina Edmonds.
Present.
Charles Fogarty. Richard Humphrey. Matthew Lenz.
Present.
Susan Petrovis.
Present.
Mayrai Gindi.
Present.
Margot Cook. Michael McNally. Mark Parlage. All right, the board secretary certify we have a quorum?
Yes.
Good. All right, well, the first order of business then is acceptance of the agenda for today's meeting. May I have a motion that the Academic Affairs and Research Committee of the URI Board of Trustees accept the agenda for the meeting January 2022?
Karina Edmonds, so motion.
Second,
Second.
voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. The second is approval of the minutes. We have some housekeeping to do due to quorum issues at the November meeting. These will be the approval of the minutes from the September 23rd, 2021 meeting of the committee. The motion is that the Academic Affairs and Research Committee of the URI Board of Trustees approve the minutes of the September 23, 2021 meeting of the committee. Do I have a motion?
So moved. At last
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Then the motion has carried. Now we need ratification and approval of the minutes from the November 4 meeting, 2021, of this committee. I need a motion that the Academic Affairs and Research Committee of the URI Board of Trustees ratify the agenda and approve the minutes of the November 4th, 2021 meeting of the committee.
Karina Edmonds, so motion.
Matt Land, second.
Can I have a voice vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Well, the motion carries. We have both discussion items and action items today. The action items, in fact, are quite important, at least to the graduates who are being certified for their degrees and certificates. That will come later. But the report, the first discussion item is a report of our Chief Academic Officer, Laura Boyve. Laura, will you go ahead?
Thank you, Neil. I'm happy to be here with you today. What we'd like to do today is give you an update on some key performance metrics that we've been measuring for, I don't know how long, probably 10 years or so. After that, I invited several people to come forward to talk about some of the student success programs that we are running at the university. And then lastly, as Neil always requests, we're going to have a COVID update. So that is our presentation for today. Okay, Sean's getting our slides ready up there. Okay, you had them up there already.
Laura,
Yeah.
would you like me up there?
There you go. All right, we're set now. Okay, so I just said basically what we're going to cover today, and specifically what the student success efforts we're going to give you an update on is our Academic Enhancement Center. And Jen Burgess is here, but she's virtual. The Career and Experiential Learning Program, and Dr. Kim Stack is here with us today. I think Kim is going to present for Jen, since Jen is not here in person with us. And then Dee Dee Chatham is going to present on the Launch Lab in our undergraduate research and innovation program. And Ann Bieger is going to give us our COVID update. But first, I'm going to report on some of these key performance metrics. And basically, we have a lot of metrics that we have measured for our academic plan over the years, but we're going to focus on just a few today. Graduation rates, retention, credit completion, and then I'll present them overall for the population of undergraduates, and then I will look at some specific subpopulations that we are very interested in supporting. Okay, so this is I'm going to have two charts here for you, and first, before I go any further, I want to thank Dr. John Stringer, our Director of Institutional Research, is here in the room with us. If you have any detailed questions about the data analysis, he's my go-to person, the Director of Institutional Research. He's here today. And then Ann Morrissey is also helped with pulling these slides together. So I just wanted to recognize those two persons. Both of them have been involved in this data gathering for years and years. So you'll see in this first column here that we have a baseline 5-year average that we start with. And originally, this baseline was developed because we were engaged in performance-based funding at the state level. That program is no longer in place, but we still use this as a kind of a baseline measure. And interestingly, for this particular year, the baseline 5-year average actually represents what was going on in our previous academic plan. And then the numbers that are the years that you see beyond that is our just ending academic plan. So it kind of meshes nicely with kind of our planning process. And as this year, we're embarking on a new strategic plan. So if you look at the different rows of data here, and there are charts later. I'm more of a graph kind of chart person, so but I just wanted to present you with the raw data first. On the first row there is our total degree completions. That's all degrees, undergraduate, graduate, certificates, all of them across the university. And these aren't necessarily different people because many of our people double major. And you can see the baseline average was 3693, almost and 3694 back in 2011 to 2016. And then you see the data for each year since then. And that last one says the percent change is about 25% there. So we have actually increased our data, our degree completions over time. And the next row, and I'd like to go through because it's kind of busy, we see our 4-year graduation rate for first-time full-time students. And that's the standard measure for first-time full-time students in the IPEDS database. So we use that, it makes the comparison with other schools a lot easier. And you can see in the baseline measure that we had 44% of our students complete in 4 years, and that has increased to 53 over the 5-year period of our current strategic plan. And then we also measure the 6-year rate, which is also a standard measure, and that has increased also. The last measure is actually Now, I'm a business faculty, so I think of this as kind of turnover in a way, is turnover of our students. So for every 100 students, 26 complete, basically, which is, you would expect that. You know, if you think of all the undergraduates out there that we have, and if 26% are completing, that's a good statistic. Given, you know, we have 4 years of students in the university. So these are only undergraduates here, but they do include transfer students. Okay, next chart. And then we'll start looking at the graphs. Sean? Forward.
That is the next one.
Oh, sorry, they all look the same. All right. The same table. All right, now here's where we look at our Pell and our underrepresented students. We also see the trends, and you see how the table works now. The trends have increased over time also. We see that, I can't see that last number there, that 35.7, yes, 35.7% change over time, 20% in our 6-year rate for our underrepresented students, 29% increase for our Pell recipients in their 4-year degrees in 4 years, and then for the Pell recipients, a 17%. So these numbers represent improvements, but the improvement is not as great as what we see with the, you know, the overall population of students. So we have some work to do here, but we are pleased that we are seeing improvements in these 4-year and 6-year rates for our Pell and our underrepresented students. At the end of presenting all the numbers to you, I'll also update you on things that we are doing to help our students be more successful. All right, now let's get away from the charts and see the graphs. All right.
Just a quick question, sorry, on that previous chart.
Yeah.
Are you presenting the Pell information because then that also represents the income of the students? Is the Pell, like the historically underrepresented versus the Pell recipients?
Yeah, Pell,
I understand the question. Could you repeat the
Pell,
question?
in order to be eligible for a Pell grant, you have to meet income restrictions. So Pell is a standard proxy measure for low economic
Low
status.
economic status.
Absolutely, and that's what I believed, and I am a proud Pell recipient. Okay, while I was there, thank you.
Is that Karina?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Karina.
Hi, sorry, I didn't identify myself.
Yeah, and our underrepresented students are all but white students and international, or those who didn't actually say what their status was.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Laura, can I ask a question?
Sure.
On the previous chart, Ron? So the second row, percent historically underrepresented, the baseline is 49. What do you say, like half of the students, undergrad students who finish in 60 years, half of them are underrepresented?
No, of all underrepresented students, that's first-time, full-time students, 49% of them finished in 4 years.
Oh,
6 years.
40, okay. So half of that smaller,
That group
okay.
of students.
So
Yes.
it's
So, yeah, so of the entering cohort who identified as underrepresented, for roughly half completed within 6 years. The other half, some may have transferred, some may have dropped out, some may still be continuing. So,
You might as well just say that and answer those data analysis questions. All right, are we ready to move on? Okay, great. Okay, these are retention rates for cohorts. And when I first saw this slide too, it takes a little bit of time to understand what we're measuring here. So when you look at this, for example, the first year rate there is representative of those students who entered URI in 2020. So their first year was completed in spring of 2021. For the second year, they entered URI in 2019, so they completed their second year in 2021. So that's how you read these charts here. And you can see that the retention rates of our first year and our second year students have increased over the years. If you look at 2008 there, you can see there's a dip. You all remember that was the Great Recession. So we had a little bit of, dip in retention at that point. And then we see a dip around 2017. 2017 was apparently, and you'll see from other slides that are a little bit different from the other classes. Perhaps we just selected our, how we recruited and selected students who were a little bit different from the others. But this kind of trend keeps showing up in the 2017 cohort. But we haven't improved in our second year and first year retention. But you see in that second year retention, there was a little dip. And we suspect, we don't like to blame everything on COVID, but we suspect that COVID probably had some type of effect on retention for that class. Next slide. Any questions? Okay. Credit completion rates. These, we try to measure how many students actually complete enough credits each year so that they graduate in 4 years. So as a first year student, we expect that you would complete 30, second year, 60, third year, 90, and then 120 credits in your fourth year. Oh, that's great, Sean. Thank you. We just moved you to another side of the screen, everyone. So we can see the numbers. So again, you see that the two, how this maps out is the seniors are those who graduated in 2021. So 78.7% of those people who graduated in 2021, who started out in 2017, graduated in 4 years, basically. They completed the requisite amount of credits to complete in 4 years. So 78.7%, and that trend has gone up. And the same thing with the others. The freshmen, you can see that 73% of those completed their 30 credits. That keeps them on time to graduate. Sophomores, 72%, and then juniors, 73%. But again, we see these dips at the end of the sophomore and the freshman year. Those are issues that we're going to have to address as we move forward. Again, it could be related to COVID in terms of completing credits.
Okay.
This is an impressive improvement.
I agree. So Laura, I assume that the second piece of the presentation is going to focus on those things that you've been doing and are doing that first produce these numbers or help to produce these numbers, and ones that you expect to help improve them even further.
Yes, and the rest of the charts basically are breaking them out. Like this is the same chart that you saw earlier, the same graphs, but they're broken out by freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior to see the trends more closely. So they're the same, basically the same charts.
Yeah.
And then the next one, can you move to the next slide? Yeah. The 4 and 6 year graduation rates by entering cohorts, that's similar to the first table. Again, I like the graphs better. So this clearly shows the graphs where we, are improving. You move on, Sean, to the next one. And here are our underrepresented compared to our non-underrepresented students on the 4 year graduation rates. And you can see there's a little gap there. We made a lot of improvements. If you look at 2012, there was a lot of improvement. The gap was narrowing. My fear is that the gap might be separating again as we go through time. And Sean, go to the 6 year. And again, we can see the trends in 2012, that the gap was closing there. And then it appears that it's opening up a little bit again.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, Sean. And And these are the Pell students, Pell and non-Pell students. Again, 2008, there were some issues, but bounced back pretty clearly. And then we see some problems starting, in 2016 and 2017 cohorts.
Okay. We have questions for Laura on this phase of the presentation?
Neil,
Yes.
Charlie. Laura, how do these rates, both for the overall student body and for the underrepresented populations, do we have a comparison of how we relate to our peer institutions?
Yeah, I don't know if we have that kind of detailed data yet, and I turn to John because he's our data repository. Do we have comparison with our Pell and non-Pell institutions?
I don't have any slides prepared. What I can tell you is that broadly speaking, the trends that we're seeing here are trends that we see nationally within public doctoral institutions across the country. We're doing slightly better and trending a little bit better overall compared to flagship New England publics. We are not doing quite as well. One thing to keep in mind with that is the other flagship New Englands all have satellite campuses. So yeah, they're not serving the entire state as we are. And for those of you who are familiar with UMass or UConn, you know that there's satellite campuses like Avery Point and Lowell. So there's selection bias into who gets included in those first-time full-time cohorts.
Yeah. And
So if I understand that correctly, the other flagship institutions report only on the mothership and not the,
yeah, that's correct.
That is
Yeah.
absolutely correct, yes.
all right. Okay.
We have
Any
a
question?
relevant program that we have in place that our data is included in this data. So I
Okay.
just want to go to one more slide on here before we go to some.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
And can you move forward again, Sean? I wanted to show you one chart here. Move forward again, move forward again. Yeah, and this was in the first chart.
Mhm.
One more. There we go. These are the undergraduate degrees per 100 student FTE. So you can see this is the rate that I talked about earlier, that kind of the turnover of students rate, how many students graduate each year per FTE. And you can see that we have improved. We're at 26.3%. That black line is us. And we are approaching University of Maryland, College Park. UConn is ahead of us a bit. And then you see the other schools, they've dropped in recent years in terms of the number of students, kind of the ratio of students that they are graduating each year. So we're actually doing well compared to our peers, and we're making progress. So let's move to the next slide, and then I can kind of wrap up here, and then we'll hear from the other people talking about their success programs on campus. So given that we are concerned of what has been happening during COVID and some of these trends that we've seen, we've put a number of things in place, programs in place. And one of these I've talked about before, and that is hiring the 4 assistant deans of diversity. That search is almost, I think it's going to be concluded in the next couple of months. We are now at the second stage of selecting individuals in the various colleges. So we should have people in place in 4 of the colleges pretty soon, in a few months. We're also hiring 4 STEM educators in bio, math, chemistry, and data analytics. That will be a joint appointment in that last one. We're figuring out where that person best should sit in bio or math or statistics. But these are STEM educators that actually will help our students in some of those gateway classes. They're focused on their not only teaching, but also research in teaching. So the scholarship of teaching and learning. The third thing that we've been engaged with the Gardner Institute since for about 10 years now, and we are continuing to engage with them to work towards what we call equity in retention. And so we have a group of people, a large group of people. In fact, Kim Stack here is one of the co-chairs. And they are leading faculty and staff across the university that will look at how can we improve financial resources, student resources, the curriculum and support of students who may who may be first-gen students, Pell students, underrepresented students. Associate Vice President Dean LaBeauty and I have been talking about this program, the re-enrollment and re-engagement program. We've had a very successful Finish What You Started program, and this will be almost like a Finish What You Started program for our students who may have dropped out over the last couple of years because of challenges with COVID, mental health issues, and so forth. So we're going to try to reach out to those individuals and get them re-enrolled. And then lastly, we have always used J-term in summer to accelerate degree completion. We've had a very successful J-term that ends tomorrow. We've had a record enrollment. Close to 1,400 students take advantage of J-term. So we're thinking of other options too of how we might help our students graduate and persist. All right, and one last thing I want to show you, and this is, if you move ahead, and then we'll talk. This is a plan for our commencement ceremonies. President Perlange wanted me to let you know about this. We do plan, this is connected to graduation, we do plan to have a main ceremony today on the quad like we used to. We've missed it for the last 2 years and we want to move forward with this. So I just wanted to give you a preview that we are planning on it. And of course, we want our board members to come to whatever ceremony that you can make. I'll bring copies tomorrow of this and present and give you a hard copy of this for your planning purposes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. So on the, now the program, we're turning now to the student support programs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think Dr. Kim Stack is going to come up next and talk about AEC and the Career and Experiential Learning Center.
Hey, thank you. Usually I'm loud enough, so no one ever asks me to do that as a cheerleader in my past life. It's great to be with everyone today. Thank you for your time to focus on what I find to be really important topics, which is where we are centered in the institution, and that's academic student success. So where the Academic Enhancement Center and the Center for Career and Experiential Education lie is within University College for Academic Success. These are all of our partner offices. So that includes academic advising, new student programs, and then the work that we're doing. And today, if there are any questions for our director, Jen, she is online, so she could take those through the chat, but hopefully I can try to respond to those for you as well. Our AEC team is listed up here, but they are a strong 5 with an additional 100 tutors that support the needs of our campus. And I think that's important to say. Over time, we had to rethink how we were delivering that tutoring to our students, and they've done a beautiful way of changing that for everyone. So we have both remote and in-person opportunities for our students in order to meet their needs. Jennifer has summarized what that past data has looked like. So during our pandemic, these were the numbers. And then recently, most recently, especially in the fall semester, I asked her to look at that, and we've seen about 5,800 visits to the Academic Enhancement Center and about 1,100 unique student visits to the center. So those could be drop-ins, and those could be virtual appointments, those could be in person. There's a couple standout programs within the Academic Enhancement Center. I would say the Writing Center is one. And again, they've shifted their model. So they're not only meeting the needs of students in person, but now they're also doing asynchronous reviews of student work. We've had a demand for looking at personal statements as students apply to graduate school. And so they're meeting those needs as well. In addition, If you've not been on the academic enhancement website, I would say one of the key areas to look at is a site called Study Your Way to Success. And that's where the academic consultation comes in. So Study Your Way to Success helps our students who are confronting significant issues with their academic success. And it might be motivation, it might be time management, focus, all of those things that could be that roadblock to them persisting. And so that website gives them tangible ways to deal with this. That's something that we build into the URI 101 curriculum so that our first year students have access to different strategic ways to manage learning in this new rigorous environment. And it works well, I will tell you. We've had a number of URI 101 students come back to say, I implemented this and it worked for this class. So I love those kinds of testimonials from our students saying that this is what's working for them. In particular from this slide, Jennifer's included a lot of information for you to know, but I want to just comment on how she's been focused on making sure that the tutors that she's hiring are representative of the students that we're serving. So when you walk into a room, you want to see other people who look like you. So we are working to make sure that we have students from all different backgrounds who are supporting our students as they come into the tutoring center. Space can always be an issue. And so one of the true gems of this past semester has been that we have renovated a section of the library, no better space for studying, to utilize this for the Academic Enhancement Center. It's right on the basement level. What's great about that is that our students now have more area. We're able to serve more students. Jennifer was very creative in trying to find any space on campus that could allow for this, but this has really done it. And with our enhanced partnerships with College of Business, Arts and Sciences, we want to make sure that we can serve all of the students that need the services. So again, while this is showing you the drop-ins, I would just say one more time, really we saw 5,800 visits and about 1,100 unique students coming to the Academic Enhancement Center just this past fall. And the key is it's working mostly with gateway classes. So what has the potential of being something that would be a roadblock to success in those gateway courses? Jennifer and her team are trying to address that before it becomes an issue. And to Laura's point, from the Equity and Retention Committee standpoint, one of the things that we're looking at is how do you take these resources and build them into the classes so that this is not an add-on or something that a student may or may not use as a resource, but it's something that's connected right from the beginning, especially when we know that those courses could have a negative outcome. Are there any questions on the Academic Enhancement Center?
Just very quickly, can you give me a sense of that breakdown that you just mentioned about those who are seeking help? It typically in these programs would concentrate heavily on first and second year students, but are you seeing much traffic or some increased traffic from upper division students?
Jennifer?
Yeah, can folks hear me? Just kind of give me like a thumbs up if you.
Definitely.
Okay, great. Yes, we've absolutely seen some increased traffic. While most of our tutoring support focuses on those first and second year, so 100 and 200 level classes, we've seen quite a bit of increased demand for higher level classes. Specifically, I would say in the areas of mathematics, so anything at the 200 levels and higher for math has been a higher need. We have had some of the business courses that we're supporting in the 200s for the financial education classes. And then chemistries that students haven't particularly needed help with in the past. And I've attributed that to a few different things. I think students are more aware of our services, which is wonderful. They're more willing to ask for help. And so when they do struggle in higher level classes, they're coming in. But we can't always support those classes, and it has created some, tensions in terms of, like Kim was mentioning, our space constraints, our financial and budgetary constraints. So we try to serve as many students as possible within the kind of boundaries that we have at the AEC. But I would love to continue expanding the courses that we tutor. As you can see, we have this really thriving partnership with the College of Business that just started this semester, and I expect that to continue to grow. I'm in the exploratory phase of doing something with the College of Engineering as well. And the more students who come and use our services and bring their friends, the more full that we're getting and the more excitement it's generating across campus. They've been very appreciative of having in-person services and the in-person drop-ins, but also utilizing online. So it's an exciting time to be the director here. I do apologize for not being at the meeting today with you all, but I'm very pleased to be here. I'm 8 months pregnant, so I just wanted to be cautious of the in-person aspect of the meeting, but I would love to, connect with anyone. My contact information is at the end of this presentation as well. So if there are more specific ways that you'd like to dig into data or to see specific usage in specific courses, I would love to meet with you and do that.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, next. Okay.
No other questions on the Academic Enhancement Center, then I'll move into the Center for Career and Experiential Education. So the center was created in 2013. It was a merger between career services that was in student affairs at the time and experiential learning that was in academic affairs. And it's been a beautiful marriage of the two. And so I'll say one of the first changes that we made to the center was to create this position called a career education specialist. We want that person to be able to truly understand the ins and outs of major to career opportunities. So these career education specialists focus on certain majors, and that's how students are connected to them through their Starfish Success Network. So when they log into the advising platform, they know right from the beginning, who is this person that's part of my success team that's going to help launch me. We are trying to integrate career education into many classes, and this is just a few that are focused through the center. So the first is that we're working within URI 101 to integrate career education. So students start to look at what are job projections, what are the different types of opportunities that this particular major cohort could lead to for me. And the students, when I just surveyed them following their 101 experience, said that was a highlight for them, learning what the potential opportunities were upon graduation. We also have service learning courses where students are able to work within the community, start to create their network, and start to expand some of their skill sets. That usually launches into things like ITR 300, which is a course that helps them to look at what are some of the possibilities that I could do with this major. I've picked the major, but I don't know what I want to do with it yet. And it really helps do a deep dive into that. Following that, we have internship seminars that allow students to do internship work across the United States. So they take an online seminar and could do these experiences from anywhere. We utilize a platform called Handshake, which has been incredibly beneficial for tracking our employer partners. We have about 9,700 employer partners. These employers can post on-campus jobs, so we work with our team here to do that. We have off-campus opportunities, full-time, part-time, and then we're seeing internships posted. We are seeing upwards of a few hundred postings a day. Those postings are then vetted by us, and they're able to be seen by students who meet the criteria for those particular roles. So we continue to market through there. During the pandemic, Handshake served a new function that they didn't even expect to, which was virtual events. So now we're able to offer both virtual and in-person events through this platform. So for example, for our engineering and technology fair this year, we had about 60 employers who were registered for that, and we had about 400 students in attendance. When we have it in person, we're seeing upwards of about 100 plus employers, and we're seeing around 700 students. Now, Not all employers are allowed to visit campuses yet. They're just not given that right to travel. So we have to work within that in order to make sure that our students still have access to the opportunities. We track a number of different types of experiential learning. And so the best way to start with that was to define it. So these are all of the different types of experiential learning that exist at the university. And then what we do is we code them within the eCampus system so that we can track enrollments, because that's important to us. We want to know how many students are able to take advantage of all these types of opportunities. And it differs by major. So you'll see here, clinicals obviously will be for our nursing students, pharmacy practice for our PharmD students. And then once we track that information, we can see exactly how many opportunities are taken advantage of and how many unique students are engaged. So there's about 6,700 unique students engaged during that time frame listed there. And then if you see the graph in the bottom and how the numbers don't match with that 6,700 in the yellow, that's because students are doing this more than one time. And so when we look at the multiple times that they're taking advantage of experiential learning for credit, and we look at all of the majors they may have, double majors, triple majors, that number is 14,000. And so I think it's important to know that we're seeing upwards of 14,000 opportunities happening. When you break it down by category, as we need to, you'll see project-based learning and our partnerships with employers bringing some type of problem or project to work on within a class setting is really one of the most popular ways. It's incredibly popular in engineering and in business. Almost all students are able to take advantage of something like that. And then you'll see all of the other types of experiential learning that we're coding by credit. We just started this past year a 0 credit way to track, and so I'll keep you posted. We'll see how that goes, but it was just good for us to be able to know how many more students are engaged. Our center is also responsible for administering a survey of recent graduates, and I can tell you that on average, 75% of the alumni respond that 6 months after graduation, they do have a position, and 15% of them are enrolled in graduate school. So 90% of them are doing the thing that they hope to do upon graduation. And this is just a sampling of some of the organizations that are hiring them. We also just did a real deep dive in a partnership with a company called MC that does economic modeling to look at all of our graduates over the last 10 years and where are they at, what kind of occupations do they have, and who are they working for. So we've been sharing that out now with the deans and others so that we can make use of this, especially for our students in advising appointments.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask one question about that last bit of data. Is there, do you have any idea how many of the students, the 15% that are pursuing graduate study are also employed?
We do ask them that, and I can tell you, it's most of them is really the answer, and they're either doing something that's part-time, like a graduate assistantship, or they're doing part-time graduate school and working full-time.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions?
Okay, Laura, is COVID up next?
We have one more presentation on some success efforts from Dee Dee Chatham on our URI undergraduate research and innovation program and our launch lab that.
Okay, I don't want to rush anybody, but I am concerned about time, so.
Yeah.
We have 3 very important action items to consider, as well as the report on the new program in Fiji, so.
Go to the one before. So. Great, thanks. Hello, I heard that. I'll try to be very brief. I am delighted to be here to share with you and have this opportunity to share with you two of my very favorite programs at URI. They both operate out of the Office of Undergraduate Research and Innovation, and they both really send a very strong, clear signal to students and to faculty that if you have an idea that you're interested in, you're going to be well supported in helping to, in trying to explore that idea, to develop that idea, to understand what kind of impact it could have in the world. And so Launch Lab is focused on spreading entrepreneurial thinking across the university, and URI Squared provides resources and funding to grow undergraduate research, scholarly, and creative projects in the undergraduate community. So Launch Lab, at Launch Lab, we like to say that we are the front door to innovation here. We are located in the Carruthers Library, just inside the front door, and we network students. We run a series of programs there. The Innovation Pathway, we invite students into the Innovation Pathway. We have 3 stages that we talk about: exploring, developing, and presenting. And we have developed a set of workshops that we run regularly throughout the semester that people can come and join wherever they want. So wherever they feel is the most appropriate for them. So they can join the pathway at the very beginning and work all the way through. Or if they're already well down the path of developing their venture or their idea, they can join in the middle for workshops that are more appropriate for them. So in the explore phase, we help them really get in and dig in and understand that problem. What value can it have? Can it bring to the world? Who would care about it? Who would use it? And we have also an office hours program where we do regular check-in. They can regularly check in with mentors. In the develop stage, we're helping them to really get in there and grow it a little bit more. So we give them some experience and practice with interviews. So interviewing stakeholders and potential customers for their venture or idea. And then we also provide them with a framework for them to understand it. So what we call the business model canvas, and help them understand how to connect all the various pieces of pulling a project like this together. And then we, in the present stage, we provide them with many opportunities to get really good at talking about their idea and their solutions and the problem that they're trying to solve. So we do pitch coaching workshops, and we have a regular series of what we call open mic nights, where they can come and present in an informal kind of situation and get feedback on their presentation and just really learn how to talk about it. So we work with students, with alumni, with industry partners, and with faculty. This is just a quick look at our numbers from last year of engagement with these people. Launch Lab is growing. It's started out just a few years ago. We are now, with the generosity of the Dean of the Libraries, Kareem Bougida, we are just about to hire our first full-time employee in the Launch Lab. And so we're thrilled about that. That's a big step for us. The other ways that we're growing our organization is by connecting in with some of these other groups and some of the groups that Kim just talked about. And the URI 101 classes and the orientation program are programs that we're really focused on right now, because we're trying to engage with people right as they enter URI. So we're going after those first-year students and letting them know that all these capabilities are there for them. And we're also collaborating with the Student Leadership Program to run joint workshops together. So we're pretty excited about some of that. The other way that we're reaching out like this is we have a small army, really, of students from all over the university who are out there sort of grabbing their friends and classmates and bringing them into the Launch Lab to know that we're there and we have programs for them. We run many networking events and we bring in speakers on a regular basis as well. This is one of our newer pieces of programming that we've brought on this year. It's a fellowship program. We did it last summer, and it is a 3-week immersive boot camp-like program. So the students apply into the program and with an idea that they want to work on, and they immerse in that for 3 weeks. We surround them with resources and coaching, and we basically take them through what is known as the lean startup methodology to explore their venture and build it out and decide, do they want to launch it? So they don't always launch it, but what they do walk away with always is an understanding of the process for when they have an idea, what they can do with that, and a way to move it forward. We're also working to integrate our work in the curriculum here at URI. We just completed this fall semester the first time through for Hacking for Oceans class. It's a graduate level class. It was a collaboration with the College of Business MBA students and the Graduate School of Oceanography. And we recruited industry sponsors to suggest problem statements. And then the students in the class formed teams around the problem that they wanted to work on for the full semester. And it was you'll see it again, I'm sure. In the College of Business, we work with quite a few of the classes. The INE 149 is what we call the side hustle class. So students enter this class, they have to come up with a side hustle and work on it to develop it throughout the semester. We also do that in conjunction with this Canoe platform. So the Canoe platform was created by 2 URI students. They're graduated now, but they still work with the Launch Lab a lot and with the College of Business. And so they support them. And they support the students by providing them a marketplace to test out their new products. And the 349 class is a new class this semester that we're working with as well as special topics in entrepreneurship.
Dee Dee, can we hear about the undergraduate research program at another time?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think so. Yeah.
I believe that is, there we are.
Yeah, there it is.
Here we are.
Well, listen, first of all, I'm very, very impressed with the extent of programming that's out there. I mean, when I hear you've got 9,700 employers who are partnering with you, and the work that's being done here to help launch students who have great ideas, I think, it really demonstrates how dedicated you all are to making sure that, the whole student is being addressed as well as, the standard academic programming. So again, thank you very much. Laura, can you give us a really quick update on COVID and then we'll get to some action items?
Or Neil, if you want to get to the action items first and we can end with COVID as usual.
Yeah, well, I also want to be sure that the new project in Fiji is covered, but we do have 3 action items that I want to be sure are given appropriate attention. The first is the review of awarding undergraduate and graduate degrees, diplomas and certificates. This is a responsibility that the board takes very, very seriously. The work is obviously done in the faculties, with the provost, the deans, and of course the president. But it requires our certification at this level so that these students that have worked so hard for the objective that they've accomplished can be recognized properly for it. So I'll need a motion that says the Academic Affairs and Research Committee of the URI Board of Trustees recommend that the Board of Trustees approve the awarding of undergraduate and graduate degrees, diplomas, and certificates and honors conferred by the president to the students who have completed their requirements at the conclusion of the fall semester for December 2021. and have been approved by the URI faculty as recommended. This is information that's included in enclosure 4A of our documents, but can I have a motion to this effect?
Karina Edmonds, motion, so motioned.
Matt Lenz, seconded.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, a voice vote, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries, and congratulations to our graduates. The second is something that Laura will have to comment on briefly with regard to moving the Film and Media Studies program from program status to departmental status. This is covered extensively in enclosure 5B, but Laura, would you like to say a few words about this change in status and why it's important?
Yes. This program has been, actually, the minor was in place in 1999. It started out as an interdisciplinary minor, and then it became a major in 2007, I'm going to say. And they have over 200 students now. It is a very, very popular program. Many students from across the university are engaged in the film studies program, film media studies program. And they're at the point now where, in terms of outreach to students or potential students and recruiting faculty, that they are requesting departmental status at this point in order to do those things better. We have the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences here, Jen Riley, and Rebecca Romanow, who is the chair of the program here, for you to answer any questions. But it is a very popular program. It reaches lots of our students, and it can be a even better recruiter of students going forward. And it's integral for the building of the Harrington School. So I can turn it over to Rebecca and Jen if you have any questions about it.
Okay, let me begin by, first of all, congratulating the faculty that have been involved in this. It's obviously done very, very well, and the numbers now, it would certainly, based on the standards I'm familiar with in higher ed, would raise it to departmental status. I think the enclosure answers many of the questions I would have had otherwise, but I will turn it over to the members of the committee for questions for either the dean or program director.
This is Matt Lenz. I just think that this is a great idea. I know 2 URI alumni who are TV producers, one of which has won an Emmy, so hopefully we'll see more of that in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Great.
Just congratulations from my part as well, Karina Edmonds.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, to that end, then I will need a motion that the Academic Affairs and Research Committee of the URI Board of Trustees recommend that the Board of Trustees approve the advancement of Film and Media Studies from program status to department. Do I have a motion to that effect?
Charlie Fogarty, so moved.
Okay, any discussion?
Karina Edmonds, second.
One second, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Second? Any discussion? All right, may I have a voice vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? If not, the motion carries, and congratulations to all involved.
Thank you.
The third action item is the review of awarding tenure to Dr. Melissa Sutherland and the professor of nursing in the College of Nursing. The recommendation for approval comes to us, and we do take action on it. Laura, anything other than what is in the documents that we've all reviewed that you'd like to raise about Dr. Sutherland?
The only thing that I would add to this is that I know that Dean Barb Wolf is really building up her faculty to be nationally and internationally known, members of the National Academy of Nursing. And Melissa is just a representation of the excellent faculty that she is bringing in. This is for the Family Nurse Practitioner Program, which is a very popular program here. And I fully support bringing in the quality of faculty that Melissa represents.
Well, I think as we knew, we all were really quite impressed by the dean's presentation to the full board at a previous meeting. This colleague meets the expectations of what is a very demanding set of standards. So I would like a motion that the Academic Affairs and Research Committee of the URI Board of Trustees approves the awarding of tenure to Dr. Melissa Sutherland, Professor of Nursing in the College of Nursing. Do I have a motion to that effect?
Matt Land, so moved.
Karina,
Carl
second.
Fogarty, second.
Any discussion? I'll ask all in favor to say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? No, and congratulations to Dr. Sutherland. Now, Laura, back to you. Can you give us some sense of where the institution stands with regard to COVID and what the path ahead looks like?
So Neil, we had one more presentation today by the group with the Fiji the branch office. And I'm
Yes,
wondering,
I know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
should
Oh,
we hear
yeah, we're
that
not-
first?
I'm not-
instead of-
If you would prefer, I move to that. I'd
Oh,
be
I don't, yeah, I just thought that, we have people here in,
Sure.
we can give you a very, very quick COVID update at the end. Actually, with COVID, we're doing quite well. We are doing quite well. And we have things under control for the spring semester. But I think the Fiji group should present because the board members will know tomorrow when it comes to the full board.
Yes, and I think those of us who sat in a previous meeting know that this program was discussed and presented to the Risk and Compliance Committee of the Board of Trustees. They were the committee of jurisdiction with regard to acting on the motion. They did so favorably, but this program highlights some of the real academic strengths of URI. And without any further elaboration from me, I'd refer this to Dr. Walsh, who's the director of the Coastal Resources Center, to give us an overview of the program and ask him to give us a sense of what the significance of it is for the institution.
Thank you so much. Hello, can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Yes.
Great. It's a pleasure to be here. Again, I'm JP Walsh, the director of the Coastal Resources Center and a professor in the Graduate School of Oceanography. And I'm joined by my colleagues Elin Terrell and Jennifer Critcher, as well as legal experts that I'll mention in a second. I wanted to begin with just a quick overview of the Coastal Resources Center. I'll try not to repeat too much of what I said in the earlier meeting, but the Coastal Resources Center is a very unique entity at URI housed within the Graduate School of Oceanography. And we focus on bringing science to issues of the coast around the world. We have about a $10 million annual budget, a great group of administrative and technical staff, and I'll mention a little bit about our work locally and globally. I also wanted to take a second and highlight that while we are largely grant funded and focused, we do have academic programming activities that we engage students in a variety of ways. For example, the Hacking for Ocean program that was just mentioned, several of our staff members were engaged in that. Actually, for the honors colloquium last semester, I led that effort for URI. So I do want to highlight that there are some connections there to academics. As far as our programmatic work, we focus on seafood, community issues related to sustainability, related to storms and sea level rise, and how we plan for our coast as far as maintaining our habitats and use them for a variety of resources. We are doing a lot of work in Rhode Island. You've probably heard about some of our efforts in the news related to growing our blue economy, coastal resilience, and seafood. We also are doing a lot of work internationally, which many of you might not be aware of. We've had some major projects in Senegal and Ghana that recently ended. We have a large one in the Philippines and a new one in the Pacific Islands. In the Philippines, this effort, I mention it here because we have this major effort, which includes having an office and staff there. In order to run this program, we do have a really talented team, and we had to go through a process of registration, which is what our request was to the Board of Trustees. The new project that we're coming to the request that's in the enclosure, both this presentation and the memo and the resolution signed by the president are in the enclosure. What this project is a $15 million effort over 5 years, bringing in $1.7 million in F&A to URI. We have a request to create a home office in Fiji. That's because it's kind of around the area of the 6 island nations where we will be working. How we operate these projects, there's a lot that we could cover, but in brief, we really need to have a presence in the region, and USAID has requested us to have an office in Fiji specifically. Of course, we need an office there because we are operating in the region in order to open a bank, hire staff, and lease space. It's critical that we register in the country. This project, this process is something that we've gone through in the past, and basically makes us sort of extends URI to this region. The process is outlined in the enclosure, and I won't review it. We do have our legal experts here joining us, including those from URI and an expert that URI has hired, Ms. Vanita Mehra. So everyone, they are all here, and I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I just want to reiterate, CRC, in fact, we're celebrating our 50th year of working with URI. International projects, as well as local efforts, are key to our funding and our impacts, and we have a lot of experience. So I hope you'll learn more about us. So thank you. We're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, this is now our, I guess, our second, this would be our second international site. Is that correct, Doctor?
Yes, sir. So this is our, we have activities in many places, but as far as a branch office, this would be our second one.
Okay, and what is the anticipated size of the office by the time it is, fully constituted?
Great question. There'll be a number of hires. I'm actually going to let Jennifer Critcher, who is our assistant director, answer that one. Jennifer?
Okay.
Sure. Thanks, JP. We anticipate having hiring about 4 staff locally, so it's very small. And then we have 3 key personnel that we contract through URI through a personal service contract. So our office will house 8 people. It'll be fairly small. And in relation to the Philippines program, our annual budget's $2 million annually in country. Fiji will only be about 200,000. So just to give you a sense of the scale.
I'm going to open it up to the rest of the committee because I think, it's a very exciting development. Of course, you have experience in the Philippines. I do want to add that the Attorney Council provided really an excellent overview of the risk-related issues to the Committee on Risk and Compliance. I thought it was quite thorough. I think it gave that committee, and as we'll see more of the full board, a pretty good sense of what that development of the landscape looks like. Is there any, based on the Philippines experience, is there much opportunity for not directly employed URI faculty and students to participate in this, or is it just not that type of opportunity?
I'm not sure I understand. So people in country, we engage a really large population in the countries where we're working. And we do often, these projects involve URI students, faculty, and staff, depending on the work that we're doing and the topics at hand. In the Philippines, a number of URI faculty have engaged in the project and students. And of course, we also engage many people in the Philippines on the
Sure.
work that we're doing.
Yeah, no, that was my question, whether folks on the home campus do have an opportunity to contribute in some way and then benefit from it. And the duration of the contract, is it anticipated that this in the Philippines would be renewable over a period of time?
Not typically. So in the case of the Philippines, we've actually got an extension because of some additional opportunities that have come along. In Ghana, our work was we had another phase to it. So it really depends on the sort of situation in the country and the opportunities that arise. But I just want to maybe let Elin Terrell, who's the director of international programs, respond as well. Elin?
Sure.
We have been implementing these international programs since 1985. And the longest running program we had was in Tanzania, where we operated from 1996 until 2013. So, it really depends, as JP said, on the opportunities. But it's our philosophy to try to stay and work with the place for a long time and not just dive in and then leave.
Good. Well, let me now give the floor to my colleagues on the committee. Any questions that they have for Dr. Walsh or his colleagues?
What is the startup time for this project?
Yeah, thanks for the question. In fact, the project started earlier this fall, and so we're underway, and that's why we're really eager to get the branch office going. The registration process does take a little time. Of course, we can do a lot virtually these days, but being in the region is really critical.
Okay, good.
Well, I would add that one of our colleagues on the Risk and Compliance Committee, hearing that the opportunity was in Fiji, sort of insisted on board level site visits. And I guess I would second that, but it seems to me the academic issues are far more important than the risk issues.
Exactly, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I mean, we don't have an action item, but I think on behalf of this committee, as you heard from the Risk and Compliance Committee, congratulations. This is a really nice opportunity, and the proximity of this to the Philippines and the region means that there's a network that perhaps will develop over time for the university to work with. Okay, let me return to Laura and to COVID now. Laura, where are we, as I said before, and where does it look like we're headed?
I'll ask Dr. Ann Vieger to give I call her my COVID contact in the office. She really loves keeping track of all the data associated with COVID. She actually, I think she has a good time with it. It's a challenge for her, so that she enjoys tackling. So I'll hand it over to her.
All right, thank you, Laura. I'll dispense with the slides in the interest of time and just kind of give you a quick verbal update. The university instituted a couple of new measures for the spring semester. We're mandating boosters for all of our students and employees. And we've also directed all students to take a point of origin test before they return to the university for the spring semester. We know from our experience in the fall that our vaccine mandate and our masking requirements were really very effective at preventing transmission in the academic setting. We also know from our experience in the fall that students get together and socialize without masks. And so Halloween week produced a surge. They went home for Thanksgiving. It produced a surge, and that was pre-Omicron. We've all seen what happened over the holidays associated with Omicron. Rhode Island has been no different. But we're very optimistic, very glad we didn't start classes on January 3rd. But over the last 10 days, things have improved dramatically in Rhode Island. We've seen that amongst testing on our campus, as well as testing throughout the state. The positivity rate has dropped from upwards of 20% down. Most recent days results are at about 12% for the state of Rhode Island. So we're very optimistic about our positioning for the fall. We do expect to see significant surge of cases after students return. Every institution is expecting this. But the guidance from health professionals is that our goal is to prevent serious illness, that boosters, vaccines, and masks are very effective at doing this. And so we're confident that our approach to starting classes face-to-face Monday as scheduled is in the best interest of the university as a whole. And many of our peers, flagship institutions in the region, Brown University with its School of Public Health, which I think is a good institution to emulate in this regard. They are also starting with their classes face-to-face next week. So we're confident that we'll have another successful semester. There will be some lumps and bumps in it. I'm not gonna kid you there. I'm sure there will be some challenging moments. It's a lot to juggle for faculty, their own health, family health, absences, student absences, accommodating those absences. We're asking a lot of our faculty, but they've been great troopers, stepping up to the plate and supporting students to the best of their ability. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Just a quick one. At our last meeting, you gave us an update on the percentages of faculty and students and employees who are vaccinated. Is there going to be a comparable look at boosters?
Yes, absolutely, there will be. We ended this semester at about a 95% overall vaccination rate for the community. We've had some turnover. Students have graduated. We have new students coming in. So if you look at the tracker, you'll see that it has dropped a bit because we haven't finished uploading all of those results from the incoming group of students. And then students are getting their boosters uploaded and faculty and staff are as well. But we have a ways to go with getting all of that logged, but eventually we will be tracking that information as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about COVID? Okay, well, first of all, let me thank everyone who's presented. The data on student success currently is, as we've said, very impressive. The trend lines look very, very good. I think this committee will continue to be concerned about the gaps we see in some of the data in terms of performance with regard to our Pell eligible students and other demographic groups that are lagging a bit behind some of the others on campus. So that'll be something I think this committee will, continue to look at very seriously. But I, for one, am very impressed with the student success programs and that we were able to hear about. Sorry that we were unable to hear about the undergraduate student research programs, but in my experience and from what I know of the data nationally, engagement by students, undergraduates in substantial research programs, projects, and particularly with faculty mentors, as I know yours is, can be very, very beneficial to persistence and ultimate completion. Let's all hope that the data on COVID remain intact, and once again, congratulations to Dr. Walsh and his colleagues on this breakthrough with Fiji. So what I'll need now, and roughly on time, is a motion to adjourn.
Matt Lenz, so moved.
Charlie Fogarty, second.
Okay, voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anybody abstaining? If not, the motion carries. Thank you all for being with us today. Thanks to my colleague trustees for being here. And our next meeting of the Academic Affairs and Research Committee will be on April 21st, 2022. Thank you all.
Good. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.